Hey, welcome to Husker247 Daily. I'm Mike Schaefer, joined by Michael Bruntz here on Wednesday morning. And we want to talk about Nebraska's freshman class, the 2025 group that came in. Several of those guys already performing, already playing. Of course, you're familiar with Isaiah Mosee and Dawson Merritt, Cade Petchock. Bruntz, who has kind of stood out for you amongst the freshmen that have played so far this year? And, have any head turners so far out of the group?
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of him. I mean, we've seen some, but every time he's in the game, for the most part, it's always like I would love to see more Cortez Mills. Like,
Agreed.
unfortunately, he's playing a position where the rotation seems to have gotten a little bit tighter as it's gone along, and for good reason. I mean, I think it's very clear who your top three are at that spot, but he always he seems mature for a freshman. And I feel like if he had more runway to get in there, and I think he's always kind of been like that. Is it safe to say he's like fourth, tied for fourth in that rotation with Quinn Clark?
I think that's fair. I think
So
that's fair.
he's probably stood out the most to me of guys that have really kind of gotten in there. Obviously Archie Wilson, has been very good, but I think of the guys that have been out there with more regularity, Cortez Mills is the guy I'm always like, I wish we could see more of that.
How much
How
of
are
that is
you?
just I've got one, but I want to follow up with this. How much of it
Yes.
him not playing as much has to do with the fact Nebraska just doesn't have many games where they run a lot of offensive plays? Like they did against Akron and they did against Houston Christian. Literally every other game, Power 4 opponents, they're like what in the 50s in terms of plays run because they Michigan maybe with the big exception there, but for the most part, part of it just seems to be that they don't run enough plays to have to go 4, 5, 6 deep at wide receiver.
Yeah, no, that's part of it. And yeah, I mean, even like it feels like they've run a lot of plays if they're like in the low 60s. Like if they get to like 65 plays, it's like, whoa, what happened there? But
How do they get all
no,
these possessions?
jeez, like no, I that's part of it. I mean, and that's also part of like the Emmett Johnson discussion too. Like as much as they've used him, it's not like Nebraska's running like 90 plays a game. I mean, it's a
No.
pretty controlled 60 play game for him. So, but no, Cortez Mills, I think, is a guy that I think is just, arrow up in terms of what he can be in this offense. And, Nebraska has tended to kind of reset the deck every year with portal wide receivers, but I think he's a guy that going into next year, I think you're going to see a lot more of, and for good reason. I think he's always been a really good kind of gamer player that makes contested catches, and I think he can be really good for Nebraska going forward.
Yeah, I'm certainly excited about Cortez Mills. I'm excited about Dawson Merritt too. He hasn't played a ton, kind of a similar sort of conversation defensively. He's gotten maybe a little bit more run. I don't have the total snaps in front of me for Dawson Merritt, but what I like about him is like he doesn't seem to get cheated on his opportunities when he has a chance to put a guy in the ground. He's generally been doing it. The learning curve has got to be immense there, and I think Rob Dvorak's doing a great job giving him little bits here and there, certain things that he can come in and do on some drives. I mean, I know that he's been out there multiple times during Big Ten play now, and so you've got Wright and you've got Watson Trent, and you've got Vincent Shavers right there in the middle on defense, but I do think there's room for Dawson Merritt to get a few reps every game, and that growth I think is going to be pretty immense. Like I don't know what it's going to look like exactly next spring, but I'm excited to hear about that guy come spring ball because I think he's going to have a lot of opportunity in front of him for playing time, and I think he's going to maximize a fair amount of it there in the middle of the defense.
He's a guy that basically he didn't have a spring, like he wasn't out there.
He's just out there playing right now,
right? Other guy I forgot to mention, by the way, Cade Petchock, kind of the same boat. I looked up Merritt's snap counts while you're talking there. He's right around 100. I mean, I think that's, a good kind of early amount for, a young player. Kind of on the Vincent Shavers type.
Yeah, well, they're 8 games in? That's an average of like 12, 12
Yeah.
snaps a game. Probably played more against Akron and Houston Christian, but he's still getting like 5-6 snaps a game in Big Ten play.
Yeah, and it's I think Petchok's a guy that's similar he wasn't here in the spring, so he was kind of thrown into it right away. A very high ceiling guy that right away you saw the explosiveness in what he could be, and both of those guys, I think for true freshmen, kind of having to come in and make plays, you're just kind of relying on your athleticism sometimes, and the thing I appreciate about both Merritt and Petchok, if those guys are making mistakes, they're doing it at 100 miles an hour. I mean, Petchok's, has the wrong fill, the wrong read, or whatever. Like he's still going after the wrong guy, as fast as he possibly can. There was I think a zone read play where he went the wrong way in the last game, but it was still to make the tackle. There to make the tackle if the guy actually had the ball, which he didn't. But that's neither here nor there. So. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you want too, and I think those two in particular kind of stand out from the fact that they're just out there, showing off their athleticism.
I think the impressive thing is that Cade Petchok can make himself invisible multiple times this year. He's gotten teams that have just decided not to block him coming off the
Yes,
edge, which is a strategy. It's certainly a strategy. It certainly didn't go well for Akron multiple times they attempted it. And then Maryland looked at that film and they're like, hey, we can do the
let's
same
do that.
thing. And then, it was the one sack Nebraska had on Malik Washington. So
Yes.
Cade Petchok certainly, I don't know if he's got some John Cena in him or what, but it's working for him. So we'll see if that continues. One more guy I kind of want to briefly bring up here. Oh, there's a couple, but we'll get into this one first. Mostly because I'm curious. Do you think Isaiah Mosee stays at running back, moves back to wide receiver at the end of this year, kind of falls in this hybrid sort of does both thing? I mean, I'm fascinated what his progression looks like. He's coming off of his best game as a running back, like just a straight ball carrier against Northwestern. He had a really nice run up the middle. I think he had like a 20-yard run, right? Something like that. And then we know what he can be as a pass catcher. And that's where he's kind of impressed the most so far. What do you think the future holds for him?
I like it at running back. I mean, am I wrong? Like I think.
Well, do you like it at running back because you looked at the rest of the room?
Well, that's part of it, but I also think I just think he can affect things a little bit more at running back. And again, it's one of those things where he makes the move at some point in the spring to doing more of that, and it looks pretty good for a limited amount of work that he's done there. And I would like to see that through, because I think sometimes when you start moving back and forth with guys, you're just kind of doing them a disservice to their development. And I think I'm very curious to see more at running back because of what he can do as a receiver too. I mean, I think he can be a really big weapon out of the backfield. I think he's built to be a running back. I think with a full off season, strength and conditioning, I really like what that looks like. So part of it is too, just kind of the state of the room. But I think he's shown enough, especially with how hard he runs, that I think the future is pretty bright for him at running back more so than wide receiver.
We're almost 9 minutes in, and I know someone's at home is just like, when are they going to talk about TJ Lateef? He's only played 2 games, right? I don't think he's made an
Yep,
appearance.
he's
And
not.
so he's likely going to get a red shirt, barring some unforeseen thing here in the month of November for Nebraska. But we would be remiss if we didn't mention that TJ Lateef has been everything and more that we could have ever possibly thought for what is the quietest Elite 11 quarterback to ever arrive on Nebraska's campus.
Yes. No, that's a good way to put it. And, again, another full off season. I think playing to his strengths a little bit more in the offense when he's out there.
It's
Would
going to be
help
a
him
different
too.
offense if he's playing, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the kind of glimpse that you got from him was pretty positive. Obviously, he still pops up in a lot of conversations when Nebraska's offense is scuffling, but I think that's more of a future conversation with him. I mean, I was really impressed with him, because you never really know with kind of the quiet Elite 11 type guys how that's gonna translate. But he's been great.
Yeah. Any guy that you know is headed for a red shirt that you're pretty excited about, even if we haven't seen much of so far?
I'm looking at the list. It's the thing that's interesting about this class to me, and this is answering your question, but it's a roundabout way. Like the number of guys, defensive and offensive linemen in this class that were like absolutely headed for red shirts right out of the gate. Um, I think people kind of forget, like Tyson Terry's in the program still.
Malcolm Simpson.
Malcolm Simpson, two guys that I think could have played their way into the rotation if they were healthy this year. I'm eager to kind of see what the spring looks like for those guys. I mean, you've seen guys already in this class on the field and doing things, but it also feels like kind of the meat of the class just never really got a chance to get going because of injuries that they had coming in or things that they had to get taken care of. So I think that's something to kind of keep in the back of your mind about the 25 class, is that there's still a lot of guys that really haven't even factored much into a conversation that I think will in the future.
All right. That's kind of a quick run through of how the true freshmen have fared. Some of the ones that have played and won't redshirt. Some of the red shirts that we're excited about to see for future seasons. So if you want more great Husker 24/7 content, get over to Husker247.com. Plenty of coverage leading up to this USC game. Of course, we're going to have the Husker 24/7 Hypecast coming up this week, as well as we get you prepared for what is the biggest home game of the season, Bruntz. That seemed fair. You got the blackout. You got a ranked opponent coming back into town, a helmet matchup, a huge visitor list. Am I missing anything here?
No, I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, the fact that it's a night game, I think, makes it bigger than Michigan. Like, I think that's fair.
I think that's fair as well. We'll see if Matt Rule gets that unruly crowd that he's hoping for as well. All right. Check out everything. Like I said, we got going on Husker247.com. We'll be back with more Husker 24/7 Daily later this week.